And now, your daily dose of debate, breaking news, and uncensored views. This is the Michael Medved Show.
And another great day in this greatest nation on God's green earth. A great day for people who love Donald Trump rallies. Now, there are people who love Donald Trump rallies because it gets the energy flowing. It gets a very big demonstration and a lot of attention on the chief executive who considers himself the greatest president of all time. And meanwhile, President Trump spoke last night at Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, and he spoke at a casino, and it was a remarkable performance lasting 90 minutes and with no particular focus except for the fact that the Trump faithful will sing their favorite song, How Great Thou Art. It was a performance that you would not hear from another president. We will get to that and play you highlights and, yes, a few lowlights of the speech by the president last night at the Pennsylvania Mountain Resort Casino. There was a crowd that was not up to the normal standards of Donald Trump. Now, of course, it's wintertime and it's cold, and I understand it's been fairly cold in Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania area where he was speaking, but still, it was fewer. They are reporting fewer than 1,000 people, not quite filling a casino ballroom. Ballroom. Oh, yes. Well, that brings up another glorious achievement that President Trump is planning to make. Just a summary that appeared about the president's address last night. Last night, the leader of the free world traveled to a small town to give a major speech. This rural area in Pennsylvania has a population of 3,000 and is home to a casino resort where he spoke for over 90 minutes inside a conference room in front of only a couple of hundred cheering fans. Again, below 1,000. It's repeated. He repeated several of his classic lies about the economy, gas prices, and his favorite, the affordability hoax. He blamed Biden, slammed the auto pen. He weaved, he slurred, he swore. He spoke with a Scottish accent at one point, made strange noises, reminded folks about his favorite word. What is his favorite word? You remember, tariff. Yay! He ripped wind. He made up pretend percentages for prices and kind of everything else. And also went on a racist rant very specifically against Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, and Somalis in general, who he considers garbage, as he has made clear at a cabinet meeting before, as the crowd shouted, "Send her back, send her back." Well, it's maybe, is that better or worse than chanting, string her up, or chanting, lock her up? Well, we will get to that. And there was an election last night. It was the last election of 2025. And an election where the Republicans have held the mayoralty of the city of Miami for 40 years. And the Democrat won. It's supposed to be a nonpartisan office, but Higgins, the successful candidate, was running as a Democrat, and she won, which was not expected. There is also this, as CNN is reporting, as high costs continue to squeeze U.S. households, President Donald Trump is trying to allay affordability concerns and deflect blame for the financial strain felt by millions of Americans. During a speech in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, last night, he debuted a new economic message. Democrats drove up prices, he said, and we are bringing them down. but he undercut his argument at times, often veering to insult-ridden tangents. Trump repeatedly pinned high prices on former President Joe Biden, relentlessly mocking his predecessor, while Trump has dismissed concerns about affordability as a Democratic host. A Fox News national survey from November, so a recent survey, found that 76% of voters view the economy negatively. Speaking of negative developments, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his team is preparing an updated version of the Trump administration's peace plan and could send it to the U.S. at some point today, later today or tomorrow. Zelensky has been clear that his country will not surrender a Russian-occupied territory, even as President Trump pressures him to agree to a peace deal with Moscow. In an interview with Politico, taped Monday, Trump once again expressed frustration with Zelensky, saying he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things, when you're losing. Russia has insisted on territorial concessions being part of a settlement to end its war in Ukraine. And there is more, with President Trump setting up a deadline for Zelensky of Christmas Day to accept the peace deal. The president claiming that Ukraine will eventually succumb to Russia unless the peace agreement is signed now, before Christmas Day. The Senate GOP chairs were circulating a health plan, meanwhile, as another clock ticks down on ACA subsidies, that's Affordable Care Act subsidies. There is now a great deal of division in the Republican caucus in both the Senate and certainly in the House, where people are realizing that we are not far away from people actually feeling the economic pressure and pain of subsidies for their medical care being withdrawn, because that was part of that big, bodacious, beautiful bill. I almost said drill. No, it's not a drill. It was a bill. The big, beautiful bill. Speaking of big and beautiful developments, the U.S. military has undertaken a campaign of attacks against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean. But at least 5 people, it turns out, have survived initial strikes, ending up in the water after explosions killed fellow crew members and disabled their ships. But what happened next to the survivors varied greatly. 2 were actually detained by the U.S. Navy only to be returned to their home countries. 1 was left afloat in the ocean and is presumed dead. And 2 more have been at the center of intense scrutiny in recent weeks following reporting that the U.S. military conducted a second strike, killing them as they clung to their flipped and damaged boat. This was back on September 2nd. The contrast in treatment has happened while policy on how the military will handle future survivors remains steady, according to defense officials. That September 2nd strike was the first conducted by U.S. forces against alleged drug boats, a campaign that has resulted in the killing of 87 people have died on 23 boats. We'll give you a good flavor of President Trump's great address. Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address in Pennsylvania. So what about the Mount Pocono address by President Trump? We'll do a comparison coming up on the Medved Show.
Just hear the sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling too. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. Outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you. Come on, it's lovely.
Friends are calling you who. It was pretty cold last night in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, at the Mount Airy Casino Resort in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, as this was reported by a leading British reporter, who, by the way, has a reputation for being nonpartisan and fair. He's a reporter for the Times of London named David Charter. And the Times of London reported that the U.S. president railed against Biden-era policies and an affordability hoax after a shock win for Democrats in Miami in a mayoral race that put allies of President Trump on edge. President Trump told Pennsylvanians, "You're doing better than you've ever done," and he talked up his government as the best in history. At his first rally in 5 months, he focused on addressing the affordability crisis. Is the return of rallies a reaction to plummeting poll numbers, or is it just because he's taking a break to do something that he enjoys for the holidays? I don't know if there are other rallies scheduled, but my guess is there will be. In any event, to give you a flavor of what the 90-minute speech was like, there's a montage that puts together all excerpts from the speech last night in the order in which they appeared, which is President Trump doing the famous weave, going from one subject to another. But listen to the way he sounds and see if you notice, as I certainly did listening to it a couple of times, that President Trump sounds a little bit different. He sounds almost like a Trump imitator or impressionist. But here is the President of the United States, 47th President of the United States, leader of the free world, last night at a sparsely attended rally in a rec room at a casino resort in Mount Pocono, PA. Here is the president.
Bum, bum, bum. They say, why is it we only take people from whole countries? Right. You know, and I said it the other day, and a lot of people misinterpret it. They say, oh, he doesn't realize prices are high. Prices are coming down very substantially. But they have a new word. You know, they always have a hoax. The new word is affordability. So they look at the camera and they say, this election is all about affordability. Now, they never talk about it. They never talk. Thank you very much. They say I'm not allowed to run. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but that's okay. On day one, I ended the war in Pennsylvania Energy. I just terminated something. We're bringing it down, and we're coming down more. We're coming down a lot more. It takes a little time to come down. They were ruining. They're going to destroy our country. The one thing you need steel. You know, you can give up certain products. You can give up pencils. Because under the China policy, you know, every child can get 37 pencils. They only need one or two, you know. They don't need that many. But you always need steel. You don't need $37 for your daughter. 2 or 3 is nice, but you don't need $37. We have some Scottish people here. Where the hell did you come from? We have Scottish people. But they're putting wind all over Scotland. The people are not thrilled with it. And it's costing them a fortune. So it's November 5th, and it's also, again, it's a thing called tariffs. And I told you, I was about to say that, you know, because I love the weave. The weave. You know what the weave is? You go here, bing, 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 bing. You always have to get back to the right location. But otherwise, they'll criticize you for straying from the speech. My favorite word is tariff. It's turning out, you know, tariffs are bringing us hundreds of billions of dollars. So rent prices are down. Dairy prices are coming down very strongly. The cost of Thanksgiving turkeys was down by 33% compared to the Biden era. You know what you did during the Biden era for Thanksgiving? You said, oh, my God, this is terrible. Was a rotten Thanksgiving. Just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon. Elon Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. I hear that the Autopen may have signed those commissions. If they signed those commissions, now maybe I'm wrong, but we're going to check. Have you checked that? Are you hearing it? Who signed it? Did he sign it or did the Autopen sign it? The Congo, I just settled that war. The Congo, their entire prison population was set into our country. Venezuela, their entire prison population was dumped into our country. Biden price increases and Trump price increases. Look at Biden. Up 37, 24%, 22, 21, 30.7, 30.7 again, 10.4%, 49%. Trump, the price is down 5.1, 4.2, 0.5. Down 4%, 2 points, 2.9. Look at that. Our prices are coming down. Their prices, it's a hoax. They're just, remember they said the Inflation Reduction Act. Remember that? Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. The inflation, bum, 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 bum.
This was all last night. And by the way, some of his stuff is just ludicrous. The numbers that he was giving about the increases in inflation, the inflation rate that he found that he inherited from Joe Biden was not the highest ever. It was, in fact, fairly comparable to the inflation rate we have right now. The real thing that people are upset about is not the fact that the inflation rates have been going up, though, yes, they have, and tariffs have caused a great deal of that. By the way, fact check, turkey prices are higher now compared to last year, with some sources reporting wholesale prices of turkeys up around 40%. Now, they keep that price increase down to keep the public happy, but no, turkey prices are not down because of President Trump. And the numbers were pulled from absolutely nowhere that you heard in that speech. There's a lot more. The president is effusive. He has just issued a Truth Social that begins by talking about why he is the greatest president ever. There's information about what an actual poll of American historians shows on who they consider to be the greatest presidents and where they choose to rate President Trump based on his first term, admittedly. We'll get to that and much more. A busy day here on The Medved Show. And we're taking a listen and a look at the big speech. It was a 90-minute speech. The highlight of the speech, of course, was Trump proclaiming that his administration was the most successful in the history of the country, the best ever. He said, if we keep going like this, there'll be nothing ever in history like it, said the 79-year-old president during a 90-minute address. Already they are saying better than Lincoln, better than Washington, better than anybody, the best 10 months ever in the history of the presidency. And why then is he in the middle of his conclusion for his first year in this new term? He's speaking at Mount Airy Casino Resort in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, on a Tuesday evening. We will get to more on that, but there's also this bit of news late last night, and it must have been after the presentation in the casino. The great speech at the casino somehow doesn't really seem to work, especially given the fact that President Trump's personal history with casinos is bankruptcy, not from playing the slot machines, but from, who loses money on casinos and goes bankrupt on casinos? Almost nobody, but there were 6 different bankruptcies that Trump declared involved with his casino failures in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is not too far away. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, they're adjacent, they're neighbors. Okay, President Trump writes at Truth Social last night, there has never been a president that has worked as hard as me, ! My hours are the longest and my results are among the best. I've stopped 8 wars, saving many millions of lives in the process, created the greatest economy in the history of our country, brought business back into the United States at levels never seen before, rebuilt our military, created the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts ever in capitals, and completely untrue. There's no basis in reality. There have been at least 8 tax cuts, bigger than any tax cuts that Trump has been attached to. The biggest tax cuts ever, he writes, closed our open and very dangerous southern border when previous administrations were unable to do so, and created an aura around the United States of America that has led every country in the world to respect us more than ever before. Okay, have you looked, anyone, at public opinion polls in other nations? And when he suggested that led every country in the world and created an aura that has led every country in the world to respect it more than ever before. All right. In addition to all of that, I go out of my way to do so long, thorough, and very boring medical examinations. In the great Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, seen and supervised by top doctors, all of whom have given me perfect marks. He makes this sound like somebody in 3rd grade. Given me perfect marks, perfect in capital letters. Some have even said they have never seen such strong results, medical results. I do these tests, writes the President of the United States last night, because I owe it to our country. In addition to the medical, I have done something that no other president has done on 3 separate occasions, the last one being recently by taking what is known as a cognitive examination, something which few people would be able to do very well, including those working at the New York Times. And I aced in capital letters, all 3 of them in front of large numbers of doctors and experts, most of whom I do not know. I have been told that few people have been able to ace this examination, and in fact, most do very poorly, which is why many other presidents have decided not to take it at all. Despite all of this, the time and work involved, the New York Times and some others like to pretend that I am, quote, slowing up, unquote, am maybe not as sharp as I once was, or am in poor physical health, knowing that it is not true, and knowing that I work very hard, probably harder than I have ever worked before. I will know when I am slowing up, but it's not now! ! After all of the work I've done with medical exams, cognitive exams, and everything else, I actually believe it's seditious, perhaps even treasonous, that's a death penalty, for the New York Times and others to consistently do fake reports in order to libel and demean the President of the United States. That's all in capital letters. They are true enemies of the people, and we should do something about it. Do something about them reporting on your medical exams and raising questions about them. They have inaccurately reported on all of my election results, and in fact were forced to apologize on much of what they wrote. The best thing that could happen to this country would be if the New York Times would cease publication because they are a horrible, biased, and untruthful source of information. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Just make America great again. Does this sound like a presidential statement for a time like this, a moment like this? This is unreal. It sounds like an essay from a seventh grader, or maybe a 5-year-old. And again, what grade would you give to this essay? Well, you know what President Trump in his in his interview with Politico magazine earlier this week, he was asked what grade he would give his performance on the economy, and he said A+, and then he said A+++++++, five pluses. Again, seventh grader, I don't think quite up at that level yet. Coming up on the Medved Show, we're going to be talking about the national security strategy that was released, a 30-page document about the White House. And in that national security strategy, Trump's team visualized that we were going to see Europe's erasure, that Europeans would disappear as viable societies. And this creates a situation where Europeans, many of them, see a hostile U.S. Is that go along with the idea that President Trump thinks that finally the other nations around the world are respecting America more than ever before? There is a great deal more, which we will get to, about the president's declaration last night. Trump continued to pin high prices on the Biden administration, despite polling that now shows Americans increasingly blame him, as he spent much of the rally insisting things were far better and would improve even more. We will get to more on that and reaction to this big speech, this big rally, coming up on the Medved Show.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone astray.
Okay, you've got to love rhyming these snow glistening with "Are you listening?" I mean, come on, that works pretty well, and a song that has become a classic for good reasons. Would anybody give a classic rating to President Trump last night? Well, we'll get to the ratings of a group of American historians of the Presidential Greatness Project, where they rate everybody who served as president of the United States, and from top to bottom, from first to 45th. They don't rate Trump's new term yet. But we will get to that in a moment. There are several highlights in his speech last night, and probably the most controversial matter that he raised was about the fact that his standing as president was above that of Lincoln and Washington and everyone else. Here is the president on that idea that his is the greatest presidency ever. Listen.
We keep going like this. I don't know if we can do that. But if we keep going like this, there'll be nothing ever in history like it. Already, They are saying better than Lincoln, better than Washington, better than anybody. The best 10 months ever in the history of the presidency.
The best 10 months ever in the history of the presidency. Now, I understand that this is the 2024, last year, Presidential Greatness Project, and President Trump hadn't begun his second term yet. This is just based on his first term. And he's not rated ahead of Lincoln or Washington. The top ratings, Abraham Lincoln, number 1, Franklin D. Roosevelt, number 2, George Washington, number 3, Theodore Roosevelt, number 4, then Thomas Jefferson, number 5. Well, that takes care of the Rushmore presidents. And then they place Donald Trump at the very bottom of the list. And these are places as 45th. And he is just barely behind, I should say, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, and Franklin Pierce. And Trump was speaking last night about 2 hours away from Gettysburg. So his Lincoln comparison, of course, made sense. Look, there are weird things about this listing of our best and worst presidents. I mean, one of the weird things is they are much too hard on William Henry Harrison, who is right down there with Trump. And William Henry Harrison was only president for a month. He died. He died because he contracted some kind of disease during his endless inaugural address. I mean, the one thing that he did wrong as president was he spoke for too long. And he spoke for almost the kind of length that President Trump did in his speech last night. But there is more highlights. And for instance, at one point, the crowd started chanting when he talked about Ilhan Omar. And what were they chanting? Well, you can listen. This is clip 15.
We have people from all over the world being dumped into our country, the people that aren't wanted in their countries, by the way. I think that's a great, like Somalia. Welcome. Do we have any individuals from Somalia in the group? Please raise your hand. That's for Minnesota, you know. That's called the Great Big Minnesota Scam with one of the dumbest governors ever in history. I love this Ilhan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. She married her brother to get in. Therefore, she's here illegally. She should get the hell out. Throw her the hell out. She does nothing but complain.
Send her back. Send her back. Again, we're talking about the President of the United States. Is there something he could do to challenge the citizenship or the congressional elections that have gotten Ilhan Omar repeatedly elected to represent her district in Minnesota? This is extraordinary. And there's also President Trump last night. One of the more remarkable aspects of his speech is he spent some time talking about what the American people really need and what they don't need. And he seems to have a grudge against dolls and pencils. This is a clip 13.
We're building steel mills all over the country, and U.S. Steel is coming back at a level never thought possible before. And the steel workers are doing phenomenally better. I think you're going to do better than you've ever done before. You were losing all of your steel. If we didn't have tariffs, you would have no steel. We wouldn't have one steel mill anywhere in the United States. And that would be really bad for, Scott, national security. We need The one thing you need steel. You know, you can give up certain products. You can give up pencils. That's under the China policy. You know, every child can get 37 pencils. They only need one or two. You know, they don't need that many. But you always need steel. You don't need $37 for your daughter. 2 or 3 is nice, but you don't need $37. So we're doing things right. We're running this country right.
Okay, and again, when he reports on the status of our economy, he, of course, cites the cost of fuel, the cost of what they refer to in the London Times coverage as petrol, but he doesn't use that term. Here's what the president has to say. This is clip 12 about the cost of gas.
We're right now drilling more oil than we've ever done ever before. Prices are way down. We just had 4 states. It was just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon. We're still moving.
Okay, it's not true. And again, it gets fact-checked again and again and again. And the most extraordinary thing is his war on the term affordability, and his ignoring the fact that he used that term and criticized the Biden administration very aggressively, which is quite normal when you're running in a presidential race. He became very excited about the issue of affordability, and he used the term very directly and repeatedly. We will get to that. Also get to President Trump talking about the giving the farmers a little help. That's $12 billion. And the tariffs, he says, tariffs are making farmers rich. But there's been a whole series of interviews and surveys of people as part of the agricultural economy, and they don't feel rich right now. And there's a great deal more, and including one of the members of the audience last night who endeared herself to President Trump by saying, "You saved us." And the idea that it's either you saved us or you basically think that the New York Times is committing treason and sedition because they report on your health. There is so much more. And more with the big decision from the Federal Reserve, big decisions involving that film from September 2nd and the bombing of a drug boat. That and much more in this greatest nation on God's green earth.